It began with glowing arrogance hovering over Iowa. A Velker ascendancy. Harmony Beacon, which looked less like a spaceship and more like a crystal chandelier that had eaten too much enlightenment, parked itself gently in Earth's orbit, and opened a scanning lattice over the Midwest, like it was trying to bless the cornfields into compliance. From orbit, it beamed light pulses of pacification and started broadcasting soothing announcements in 56 dialects of cosmic superiority, none of which included Midwestern passive aggression. Meanwhile, Earth collectively shrugged, checked, if it was a Netflix stunt, and went back to barbecuing. Except one person. One woman. One tragically sunburned, semi-retired Navy SEAL who had planned precisely 3 days of absolutely no intergalactic nonsense. Chief Petty Officer Cassandra Cass Rourke was sitting in a folding chair on the roof of her cousin's garage in Fort Dodge, skin glowing like tactical bacon, sunglasses perched halfway down her nose, plasma knife stuck in a half-melted tub of guacamole. Her idea of peace was lukewarm beer, no alarms, and sunblock that didn't turn her into a microwave dinner. Unfortunately, peace had just been interrupted by a glowing squid diplomat floating 3 feet above her lawn chairs, muttering something about species integrity violations and the reckless broadcasting of digital chaos. The Velker emissary, a sanctimonious orb named Zir Kalvuth, the Harmonizer, Cass mentally renamed him Glowbob, was flanked by 2 tentacled sentinels in robes that glowed like rave priests on decaf. Cass blinked at them. Then she blinked. Again. Then she reached under her chair and slowly pulled out an espresso thermos labeled, "This is my diplomacy face." "So," she said, in a tone that suggested she was only 30% awake and 70% armed, "you boys here for the HOA meeting, or just lost on the way to whatever self-important cult you hover with?" Glowbob did not respond well to sarcasm. His translator orb glitched, stuttering through a sentence that somehow accused Earth of possessing an unconscionable number of memes per capita. Then the Velker activated their audit scanners. Then they found Reddit. Specifically, the Our Military Memes subreddit, 2 raccoon fight compilations, and an archived YouTube playlist titled Greatest Unintentional War Crimes Backyard Edition. Within minutes, the audit escalated from casual analysis to species reclassification. Humanity was now labeled a Category 3 chaotic anomaly. Cass, who had been trying to spread aloe vera on her face with a plasma knife, muttered, "Oh, for the love of jazz," and stood up. She'd seen less bureaucratic arrogance in the Pentagon's vending machine department. When the Velker attempted to gently pacify Earth's networks using their Universal Order Harmonizer protocol, they accidentally overwrote the livestream of Cooking with Apocalypse Grandma season finale. 4 billion humans missed the last 10 minutes. 16 nations declared martial law. And somewhere between the chaos and the collective scream of betrayed foodies, someone rebooted NORAD with a potato battery and a Bluetooth speaker playing Rage Against the Machine. Cass's communicator, long buried under takeout menus and unpaid tactical consulting contracts, flared to life. A gravelly voice said, "Cass, it's the Pentagon. They just insulted Grandma and atmospheric integrity. You in?" She stared into the sky, sunburn glowing like divine vengeance, and gave the only acceptable reply, "Oh, honey, I've been waiting." 5 minutes later, the Velker emissary's shuttle was embedded in a corn silo thanks to an electromagnetic fart bomb built by an angry 12-year-old with ADHD and a Game Boy emulator. Cass commandeered a farm truck, duct-taped a targeting AI to the hood ornament, and drove straight into Earth's newest military operation. Operation What the Hell? The audit was now classified as a hostile incursion. The incursion was now trending under Duck Audit This on every platform. And somewhere, deep inside their symmetrical command ship, a Velker senior tactician stared at a flashing alert labeled Memetic Insurgency Detected and asked in perfect horror, "What is a TikTok?" Earth had responded, not with precision, not with caution, but with the full, caffeinated fury of improvised sarcasm. weaponized raccoons, and one Navy SEAL whose idea of diplomacy involved blunt objects and jazz music in 7/8 time. Cass was back. The galaxy was about to regret it. The Velkur, still convinced this was some sort of regrettable static discharge of lower-spec intelligence, responded to Earth's improvised middle finger by initiating Phase 2 of their non-aggressive planetary optimization protocol, a phrase which roughly translated into Earth-speak as, "We're going to fix your species with spreadsheets and glowing orbs whether you like it or not." This might have worked fine on lesser planets, ones that didn't use sarcasm as a primary defense mechanism and whose cultural landmarks didn't include a museum dedicated to historical petty revenge. But they'd forgotten one critical detail. You don't interrupt humanity during primetime TV, especially not the final episode of Cooking with Apocalypse Grandma, a show that had single-handedly bridged political divides, ended 3 wars, and taught millions how to sear mutant gator ribs using only a flamethrower and spite. When Velkur broadcast their Welcome to Harmonization message directly over the finale, all 12 minutes of glowing self-righteousness were piped into every screen across Earth, replacing Grandma's final monologue with something about ascending past emotional impulsivity. The fallout was immediate and thermonuclear. Riots broke out in every time zone, with makeshift signs reading, "No harmonization without season closure." Pizza deliveries were suspended, which was when UN Command knew things had officially gone to hell. Somewhere beneath a taco truck that had been converted into a mobile command post, Cass Rourke adjusted her tactical boots, cracked her knuckles, and told a war council of sleep-deprived generals and caffeinated influencers, "We're not launching a war. We're launching a grudge." The hastily formed coalition named itself Earth Unified Response Tactics, EURT, pronounced YURT, because Cass refused to sign off unless the acronym was dumb enough to confuse enemy scanners. Her operation? Team Petty. Their mission: infiltrate Velkur signals, override their command protocols, and cause so much irrational embarrassment that the squid-robed technocrats would be too ashamed to finish their audit. The planning session took 7 minutes, which included 2 meme breaks, a mini-vote on battle theme songs, finalists, Sabotage, Call Me Maybe, and Tuba Fight 9000, and 1 brief philosophical argument over whether raccoons could be enlisted under the Geneva Convention. The Velkur, meanwhile, attempted to initiate diplomacy again, this time by replacing all global weather forecasts with serene visions of their homeworld, a place where wind was considered an act of treason and all precipitation was scheduled by permission. It backfired spectacularly when a monsoon hit Jakarta and the Weather Channel described it as mood-adjusting drizzle. Humanity had had enough. Cass reactivated her field armor, patched a Velkur translator into her coffee thermos, and transmitted the first human countermessage into space. "We're sorry, your audit has been postponed due to cosmic indigestion. Please shove your harmonization where the sun don't glisten, unless that's against your religious terms, in which case, just duck." Within hours, rogue hackers hijacked the Velkur's orbital beacon and replaced its glow with a projection of Grandma's face mid-frying pan swing captioned, "Ladle this." Cass's Special Operations Unit, now expanded to include a disgruntled rock guitarist, an ex-ballet dancer turned drone tactician, and a teenager whose laptop ran exclusively on spite and soda, launched their first strike, Operation What the Hell. Their first target was the Velkur's floating embassy dome in Iceland, a structure that resembled a rejected lava lamp concept and pulsed with non-threatening purity. Cass kicked in the door wearing polarized shades and chewing caffeine gum. Like it owed her rent, she didn't speak. She just held up a live raccoon in one hand and a USB drive labeled How to Earth, an intermediate guide to offense in the other, then dropped both on the floor and left. The embassy collapsed into panic, evacuated in precisely the opposite of orderly fashion, and initiated an emergency quarantine labeled Category 8, Inexplicable Emotional Warfare. Earth's invasion had officially begun, but there were no troops, no fleets, no lasers, just petty vengeance delivered at the speed of shame. Cass, standing on top of a burning hover scooter, gave a single nod to the cameras. "Let's audit." "That," she muttered. And somewhere in Velker High Command, the glowing jellywigs of the Ascendancy trembled at the data reports rolling in, none of which they understood, but all of which smelled faintly of barbecue and defiance. By the time the Velker Ascendancy realized humanity wasn't playing by the Galactic Handbook, or more insultingly, any handbook, they were already deep into what Velker analysts would later refer to as the crisis of recursive chaos. Their elegant orbital prediction algorithms, designed to anticipate conflict with alarming precision, were now returning nothing but assy drawings of raccoons flipping them off. Cass Rourke had officially taken the reins of Earth's counter-offensive and was conducting what might generously be described as strategic cultural terrorism, though she preferred the term creative expression through targeted embarrassment. Every major Velker facility on Earth had been tagged, sabotaged, or meme-bombed.
Their data servers were now hosting a corrupted archive of Earth's internet history, complete with poorly compressed cat videos, 3.7 million looping rickrolls, and a custom virus named TROLL Protocol, Tactical Ridicule and Offensive.
Laugh loops, which played mocking commentary from Earth's least qualified reality stars over their military broadcasts. Team Petty, now operating out of an abandoned water park, because Cass said strategy should be hydrated, humid, and humiliating, had weaponized everything from weather balloons to synchronized drone dance squads. Delivery drones formerly tasked with airdropping groceries were reprogrammed to dive-bomb Velker field units with glitter bombs and screaming rubber chickens. A traffic light in Omaha began interrupting Velker marching formations with blinking signs that read, "Yield." To emotion. In Toronto, a 14-year-old used a Guitar Hero controller to brute force Velker encryption while live-streaming sarcastic commentary, "Oops, looks like your universal command lattice couldn't handle a B minor power chord." Back in orbit, the Velker flagship, the Sanctity of Protocol, suffered its first onboard breakdown not due to enemy fire, but because its AI developed symptoms consistent with a panic attack. Its logs read, "Emotional input detected. Response. Unknown. Initiating system flail." The source, a hacked cleaning robot on Deck 6 playing jazz in 7/8 time and launching confetti whenever a Velker officer passed by. Cass, gleeful and sunburnt, monitored the chaos while sipping espresso through a tactical straw and field testing her newest invention, a repurposed alien drone now named Sassbot, which projected holographic haikus onto enemy scanners. The current one read, "Your ship's symmetry offends my lopsided soul, bro. Try asymmetry." As Velker reinforcements attempted to restore order, they were met with psychological warfare of such absurd precision it bypassed their logical defenses entirely. One unit was ambushed by balloon animals shaped like their elders. Another was neutralized by a sonic loop of Earth toddlers throwing tantrums in a Walmart. And then came the incident. During a mid-orbit diplomatic relay, Cass hijacked the Velker transmission line and delivered a solo interpretive fencing routine set to jazz, wearing full tactical armor and wielding a mop. The performance, inexplicably titled Operation Jazz Hands, was delivered with such conviction that the Velker thought it was a war declaration encrypted in metaphor. Their response? Full mobilization of their interstellar polite compliance fleet, which promptly crashed into each other in a panic due to scrambled etiquette protocols, now rewritten to include phrases like bro and no cap. The galaxy watched in horror. Earth watched in laughter. Velker pride crumbled like expired tofu in a vacuum chamber. Cass Rourke, standing on the roof of the hacked embassy-turned-dance club HQ, looked up at the stars with a crooked smile and whispered, "They've got one more move before they start crying." And she was right. Velker Command, unable to interpret humanity's aggression as anything other than unfiltered madness, initiated a galaxy-wide emergency summit under the new crisis codename, Humanity Existential Meme Threat. Cass, naturally, intercepted the invitation and RSVP'd with a single emoji, a wink. The audit was now a war. The war was now a meme. And the meme was becoming something far worse, a lesson. By the time Part 4 exploded into galactic relevance like a duct-taped rocket full of glitter and bad decisions, the Velker Ascendancy had abandoned all illusions of control and were operating purely on existential dread and interstellar HR memos labeled, "Please make the humans stop." Their majestic flagship, the once holy sanctity of protocol, now drifted through low orbit, pulsing in chaotic neon colors, its majestic hull plastered in hacked Earth graffiti, including a 20-story projection of Cass Rourke doing finger guns while sipping coffee from a mug that read, "Audit this, nerds." Velker command systems were imploding under the weight of irony and asymmetry. The AI that once directed the Ascendancy's entire combat fleet had entered an irreversible logic loop after being exposed to a synchronized Emu cavalry charge led by Cass and a jazz band playing deliberately off-tempo renditions of galactic hymns. The final straw came when Team Petty launched their pièce de résistance, Operation Jazz Hands Redux, The Reckoning. Cass had personally reprogrammed Earth's last functioning planetary defense satellite using only a lunch tray, a swear word, dictionary, and her bare hands, transforming it into a rotating disco ball weapon platform that blinded Velker's sensors with a constant stream of reflective chaos and sarcastic Morse code. The message it broadcast on loop was simple. "We tried being normal. You started it." Velker attempts to retaliate failed in the most embarrassing ways imaginable. One of their elite ships tried to neutralize Earth's comms by deploying a HFY harmony field, but the field synced with a human broadcast of Frog Karaoke Championship 2079, causing half the Velker fleet to shut down from auditory confusion, and the rest to retreat after mistaking the rivets for coded death chants. Meanwhile, the Galactic Council, which had been watching the situation like horrified office workers witnessing a printer catch fire, intervened only after Cass sent them a handwritten ceasefire offer composed entirely of magnetic poetry words, glued to the back of a pizza menu and sealed in a glitter bomb envelope. When the envelope detonated mid-summit and coated 7 dignitaries in biodegradable sparkle sadness, universal consensus was reached. The humans win, whatever the hell that means. The Velker, once a civilization so orderly they filed emotional reports in triplicate, were now broken, humiliated, and desperately begging for a peace treaty that didn't involve raccoons or interpretive dance. Cass, now orbiting their homeworld aboard a duct-taped hybrid dropship named Emotional Damage, agreed to a formal surrender ceremony, but only after they installed a bronze statue of Apocalypse Grandma in their central plaza and legally renamed their command AI to Cassandra.exe. During the signing, Cass stood in full tactical gear, espresso thermos in one hand, the other casually resting on a button labeled "Release the Bagpipes," just in case. Her final transmission to Earth was broadcast to every system. "We accept their unconditional surrender. I'll be home in time for reruns. Someone save me a taco." Earth erupted in celebration. The Galactic Council quietly amended universal law to include a new clause. If encountering a species with sarcasm-based warfare, do not engage unless armed with humility, snacks, and trauma insurance. Cass Rourke, now Ambassador of Tactical Improvisation and Universal Petty Strategy, took her place at the Galactic Council in mirrored armor and Crocs, sipping coffee while Velker historians wept softly in the background. Her first act as ambassador was to submit a rewritten version of the Galactic Conflict timeline, formatted entirely in limericks and annotated with memes. The war had not just been won, it had been memed into oblivion. And as the stars spun on and humanity returned to its chaotic peace, one final amendment echoed through every diplomatic chamber across the galaxy. If a human ever says, "Hold my coffee," evacuate the sector.